he said, well, this is the AG spot as a stepping stone because what you really want is the governor's office. Do you have any response?
I've heard him say that a few times. You want me to respond to that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. There isn't really a lot of difference between, I assume it was Kreitz, and me on this, because he has said that when he left the U.S. Attorney's Office, he thought about running for Congress. He thought about running for Attorney General in 1994, but Betty Montgomery turned out to be the candidate that year. He thought about running for Attorney General again in 2002. So if I'm a quote career politician, he's been a career politician in waiting. I don't know if there's a lot of difference between us. I think it's kind of a silly argument, frankly, because I think we both have management experience and claims of leadership background. But for me, I've been in the political arena and I have, suffered good fortune and bad fortune, and I think that has made me better. I don't think what offends me about that line of attack is it a bad thing for our society for people to want to run for public office and be in public service? I would say if they're just there to serve time and draw salary, that's not good. But if they want to be leaders who find ways to help our families, isn't that what we want? And if the voters, it's always up to the voters, if they see fit to elect someone, again and again because they think they do a good job for them, do we distrust democracy? For me personally, I have run for a number of offices over the years. Sometimes they worked out, sometimes they didn't. What I've learned out of that is you can't count on anything. If you have a job that the voters do give you to do, as I had as county treasurer and as I now have as state treasurer, do a good job at it. If you do a good job at it, there may be other opportunities, maybe there'll be things you want to do. And if you don't do a good job at it, you won't deserve other opportunities. So I don't disclaim that, maybe someday I would run for something else, but the voters will decide whether I do or don't, and if I've done a bad job, they shouldn't elect me. So I just think that's fairly straightforward.
Did you endorse anybody in the presidential primary? Or?
I did. I endorsed Barack Obama at a time when the other statewide officials were either remaining neutral or endorsed Hillary Clinton. The governor wasn't all that happy with me at that time, but he knew that I was just doing what I thought was best, and I knew he was doing what he thought was best. So, Senator Obama did not do well in the Ohio primary. It was a disappointment. I think Senator Clinton did well in part because Governor Strickland was behind her, and he's pretty much a force with the voters in the state. But we're now pushing for Senator Obama, and he may well be the next president. Again, that's up to the voters. So.
That Bureau of Workers' Comp, was the law changed on that to offer more protection so that that type of investment can't happen again, or how did that
work?
There
were a couple different significant bills introduced in this General Assembly, and one of them completely overhauled the management structure at BWC, including a new board, replaced the old board. And of course there's representatives of this or that different area of expertise. There's a new administrator, of course, Marcia Ryan, and I think she's pretty capable. There was a bill, and I honestly can't recall as I sit here what happened to it. I think it may have passed. I know Bill Batchelder introduced a bill, and I know Steve Stivers was interested in this as well, to overhaul the investment authority of BWC. Hasn't been a problem in the last 2 years. Partly, this is kind of good fortune, I suppose, because of the problems and the exotic nature of some of the investments that they had made. They really pulled in their horns, and they went to almost overly conservative approach for a long-term portfolio like that. My portfolio that I work with at the State Treasury is short-term, and you want to be careful and conservative with that. You can't afford losses, so we aren't allowed to invest in the stock market, and as I said, we've stayed away from what we saw as risky investments like mortgage-backed securities. BWC has a longer horizon. They can and probably should be to some extent in the stock market. They, as coincidentally, have not been over the last year and a half in reaction to what went before. And right now, that's looking like a pretty good decision. I mean, they haven't suffered losses. Our pension systems are suffering right now. They average out in the long run, but it's not been a good year for them. BWC actually is doing reasonably well. We had some dealings with them initially when I came into office because I had a view, I expressed it in the '06 campaign, as to what the treasurer's role is with respect to the pensions and also BWC. I am by law the custodian of funds for them. And I had said that I thought that if the Treasury had handled that role more aggressively, they might have headed off some of the bad decisions that BWC made, because if you have the information, you can at least blow the whistle on it and bring it to the public's eye. We had some tough negotiations when I first got there about whether we would get the kind of information I thought we needed to play that role. And BWC ultimately agreed, and we do have that information now. We know what they're investing in, and we know it ahead of time, and we can, if we think something's odd, we can potentially bring it to public scrutiny. I can't veto it, but I can, bring it to the light of day. And the same with the pension systems. And so, that those were some hard discussions at the beginning, because they feel like you're horning into their area. And my point is, that's what a check and balance is horning into your area. I'm not going to try to veto any decisions you